Okay, we all ready? First of all, many thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
This is a world first for the Port Vale supporters, a virtual meeting. I am only 8 stone. I'll look bigger on camera. First of all, I want to welcome you to Port Vale. David, Daryl, it's really nice of you to join us tonight and put your time out. I've met Carol many times. It's nice to see you, Carol. It's been over a year now since we've, well, no, it isn't. We did the player end of the year, didn't we? We gave the Player of the Year trophy out. So it's really nice to be with us. Thank you for putting it on. I know we talked about this before Christmas, and unfortunately, just after Christmas, we went on that bad run. We lost the manager went, and we didn't think it was the right time to talk to the club about having an event like this. So now we've got a director of football, a new manager, and we're looking forward. We thought it was a good time to ask the club about questions and answers night, and it's really great that you've joined us. We've had a terrific response from the Port Vale supporters, which I knew would happen, and I knew they would come out again in their droves, and I know I speak on behalf of all the Port Vale supporters. We cannot wait to come back because we have really missed coming. I know that over 4,000 back the club with buying season tickets, and that's incredible, especially going through this pandemic, and that shows the commitment for me of Port Vale and what it means to the supporters. So thank you for putting this on, and being very honest, the logistics of doing something like this has been, a big challenge, but I'm hoping that we'll go through the night without losing any internet connections, and we can go through all the questions that we've had in. We have got all of our questions. There's some really good questions. Obviously, we've got a lot of questions that were similar, so we've kind of put them all together, and everyone's question will get mentioned, and we'll talk about everybody what they said, and we'll have some honest answers from our panel tonight. So are we ready to get involved with our questions? Yeah,
we are. Before we start though, Mark, can I just say hello to all the Vale fans, and can I just say how much we've missed all of you. Vale Park is not the same without you, and we can't wait to get you back. We've got plans ready for when we can, and I'm so pleased that we can do an event like this so we can talk to as many of you as we can. I'd much prefer you all to be in the Valiant suite, and we could actually see each other, but this is the second best thing. But please don't think for one second we're not desperate to get you all back, because we miss you a lot.
And I think on behalf of all the fans, we miss coming as well. It's been, it's just not the same. And on a personal, for me, and this is my own opinion, I think watching on iFollow is absolutely awful. Mm-hmm. Apparently, my game's just finished from Tuesday night, and we're so far behind, and it's just not like being there. And we just so want to be there. And I'm hoping that can happen from next season. I know that we were involved in meetings with yourselves and the House of Parliament trying to lobby to trying to get the fans back into football, and hopefully, I'm touching wood and fingers crossed that we can come back next season, and in that we're in League Two as well, and pushing for up towards the top end of the table next season. So we got some questions that come in from our supporters, and we're gonna start off with some questions first about John Askey's tenure and his departure from Port Vale. A number of fans, including Ian Woodward, Carl Zeman and Evan Jones, would like to ask you, Carol, why it took so long to take the decision to part company with John Askey, and why it took so long to appoint a new manager.
Okay, so if you go back this season, if you go back to the beginning of November, we were flying high, and every indication that we got as a board or me as an individual was that we got everything right and everything was working. When everything started to go wrong at the beginning of November, it takes quite a long time for you to recognize whether there is a problem or whether it's just a run of bad luck. We had a run of injuries, we had a run of COVID, and I do think you have to remember, whenever we talk about this season, COVID isn't an excuse, and I'm not putting it forward as an excuse, but it is a factor. And we have had one after another. If you think back to Boxing Day, for example, Tom Conlon found out on Boxing Day morning that he had COVID. He tested positive. Now that's the first time we knew, and of course every plan had been made to have the game. So you had to sort of really sort of work out, and we kept looking at it. We kept, you know, we wanted to back the manager. We did back the manager, but we got to the point by the beginning of January of saying we have to stop. I mean, it almost, you know, didn't feel fair to just carry on, and so we took a decision. We called John in, and we parted company at that point. I know a question is going to come, do we have a plan then? Well, no, because we were backing the manager. And so in backing the manager, you don't start making a plan for the manager going, you know, you're backing him, and we were all focused on doing that. What we did then after John left is we then started to look at moving forward, and to really take that time that we weren't able to take when we first came to the club. Because when we first came to the club, everything was there till the end of that season. Then we had to take a decision: do we carry on? And me as a fan, I mean, I'd been to all the matches as the rest of you had, and I could see that there was a turnaround. So I had no reason not to carry on with what we were doing at that point. And whereas now I took a decision that we needed to take the time to have a look at what Port Vale needed in the long term, rather than just, we haven't got a manager, quick, get a manager, tick a box, shut everybody up, and then it'll all be all right. That isn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a plan, a strategy moving forward, and to take that time to go through that. So that's why it took a little longer than people wanted. But also we had Danny in there, but then he got COVID. You know, so it was, at that time we didn't know whether Danny going in, would that hold till the end of the season or not, but then in discussions with Danny and discussions with the board, we decided no, we needed to really ramp up looking for the manager. So, you know, in retrospect it probably looks a long time. At the time, every single day we were doing something towards moving forward. I'm just not a rusher on major decisions like that.
Thank you, Carol. You've gone into a bit what the next question is going to be, but sorry, I think there you go. David Bailey asked, did you have a plan when John Askey was fired, i.e. someone you wanted? If so, what happened? If not, why not? And whose idea was it to go for the current setup? And if the worst thing happens, will we change back?
Well, when we started to look, one of the first people that was mentioned was Dave Flitcroft, because Colin had worked with Dave in Rochdale, and he knew Dave's approach to the project as a whole, that football isn't just about what happens on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon. It's about the academy, it's about, you know, growth and development, it's about the community, so it's about the whole package. We had a lot of applications come in for the job, but as I say, Dave had been mentioned at the beginning, and when we interviewed him and in discussions with him, it really became apparent to me and then to the rest of the board that the job that we've got, if we're going to take Port Vale forward as a whole into the future very sustainably and very professionally, that is more than one person's job. That really is two people's job. And I think we'd found that last season as well. When I really wanted to push the academy forward, we couldn't do because we were very busy focusing on the first team. So what we wanted was to, you know, and in discussions with Dave, it became really apparent very quickly that, you know, I'd had feedback that we didn't have enough experience of football on the board. We'd got Colin, that was it. Not that he wasn't good, he was very good, but he just wasn't enough. And so it seemed to me to be a really good opportunity to bring Dave on board as a director of football on the board of directors, so that he can advise us, he can, you know, but he can also take that responsibility for the growth overall. And then his first responsibility was to find the manager. And so it just seemed a logical step point for me that we start at the top, and then we, you know, as a strategy, and then we fill in all the gaps after that, which is what we've been doing. So I don't know, can't remember exactly what the question was in that, but that's what we did, and that's why we did it.
So if the worst thing happens, would you change tack, or would you that was the final point in the question, or will you push forward the way you've got it now?
I hope not.
I was going to say, that's a little bit awkward question, guys. You're putting me on the spot here. No,
Remember, these aren't my questions. These
no,
are
I know they're not. No, I know. No, I think a club going where we want to go needs this structure. So I think that the structure is right, and we will, looking to prove that it's right. So the question becomes a moot point. No, I think this is the right structure for Port Vale.
Okay, on that note, Carol, Matt Bainbridge asks, at what point will the club reassess the failings of the Askey failed tenure and be straight with the fans as to what has gone so horribly wrong this season for us to now find ourselves just above the relegation zone?
It's ongoing. I mean, we've analysed what went on. I mean, don't forget, in November, we were, we needed one more win and then we were going to be third. So, let's focus on where the issues began. It began in November, and then, John left in January. So this is about looking at what went wrong there. And that wasn't all John, I mean, there was a lot going on, as I've said before. And so we were looking then, we're looking now, we will keep looking. We have board meetings regularly to look at what's going on and what we need to do moving forward and how we can improve things. That has never stopped, and it won't stop.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Ian Woodward, Carol, Rob Irving and Andy Kerr would like to ask you, who was responsible for recruitment whilst we were without a manager, and who brought in the signings that were made in January transfer window before Dave and Daryl arrived at the club? Did the board take their eyes off the ball?
I hope we never took our eyes off the ball, because we could spend a lot of time focusing on the ball. We worked with Danny. To be honest, during the window, there's very little we could do, because you have a squad cap and you have a squad list size, so we couldn't have brought many people in anyway. The people that we brought in some places were for injury, so we had to bring in a goalkeeper, we had to bring in a centre back. We'd already been talking about Jake Taylor, and we knew that we wanted Jake Taylor, or the fans wanted Jake Taylor, so did we. And the other ones, and we needed a striker, because Pope was injured. We had a lot of injuries on the bench, so it was more about covering the injuries than it was about taking strategic decisions moving forward. But everything was done with Danny. All
right, brilliant, thank you. Carol, another one for you. I feel like
can we just say this is not the Carol show, but it's just that I'm doing the bit up to the point where Dave arrives.
Yeah, I've got some questions for Dave, then we've got some questions for Daryl. So I've got them right across the board, so they're all good. They're all good questions, and they're all what have been sent in to us. And obviously, if we've had a load of on the same point, rather than read 20 questions out, we kind of pulled them into one, which has made it a lot easier.
Can I just say on that, Mark, because I saw somewhere that somebody said, if there's hard questions, they're not going to answer them. I mean, you will be able to confirm every single question that's been sent in, we are going to answer, and we will.
Yeah, that's right, and that is honestly, we one thing I can pride Port Vale on, and ever since you've taken over, Carl, is you've never shirked any questions that we've asked. You've always come to meetings, and if you've got things wrong, I know you will say you've got things wrong, and I know that we've got a great relationship with the supporters and the club, and we've got
I mean, one of the things that I've learned since I've been here is that there's a lot of things that happen in a football club that you can't share. It might be about a player, it might be, there might be some any sort of reason why you can't. And I think for supporters, that we have to balance out our transparency to them, but also our duty of care and our responsibility to our staff and to the club as a whole. So it is a balancing act, but wherever we can speak up, we always will.
Yeah, and I know that's true. And and as I sit here today, if any of the fans want to come back to me after, they can do, and I can come back to the club, which I always do ongoing. This is one for you, Carol, again.
Okay.
Mark Askey writes, I'm a Vale fan through and through, and I
Good.
can't say a bad word about the owners and what they've done for our club.
Thank you, Mark.
There isn't a word to do justice to how much thanks we owe them. We stay up this year, and I know that success is a guarantee because they know how to make a success out of business. But would you admit, Carol, that certain decisions made showed a lack of football knowledge over the past 12 months? If you could do anything differently, what would that be?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I learnt a lot. I think that it was naive. I think we did need a member of the board who had football experience. If I could do anything differently again, I'd have brought a director of football in earlier because I think that we needed it. But I have to say that from a personal perspective, from November till now, I have grown as a person. I have learned so much. I've learned a lot about running a football club, about Port Vale Football Club, and the difference between being a supporter and running the organisation. And that was a huge transition for me to take because it is a different thing. You know, you are the leader of the organisation, and you have to make sure that you keep focused on that the whole time. And so for me, it's been a huge growing, although I have lost weight, so it's, you know, you've got that balance. I've shrunk and grown all at the same time, and that hasn't, I mean, I've wanted to lose weight, can I just say, and so, you know, I would have brought in a director of football earlier. I've learned a huge amount, and yeah, I mean, I think yeah, that's the answer really. I should just start waffling if I carry on. So
okay, thank you for that. Finally for you this time, Carol.
Okay.
Johnny Wilkinson says, I don't think it's the rugby Johnny Wilkinson, but
if it is, he's very welcome. Hi, Johnny.
Johnny Wilkinson says, my honest opinion is that there is more to the demise of the quality and players in general. There seems to be a lot of unrest internally, and this reflecting in the position we are in. Is this right? I haven't seen it. I mean, I read that throughout the time, you know, throughout these last few months. I think people always need to look for a reason, and sometimes there isn't one. And I think they also have to look for, you know, someone to blame, or, you know, there must be a problem. And I haven't seen it in the way that people have assumed. I think it is just literally that the wheels fell off and we couldn't get them back on, personally. Yeah.
That is purely my opinion, but I haven't seen anything.
Right, okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, Dave, we move on to you now. It's really nice to welcome you to Port Vale on behalf of all the supporters.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, but now it's your questions.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, Paul Dixon asks, are you under contract? And if so, for how long? And are you interested in managing again?
Under contract, yeah, for a year. And managing again, as I've managed, I've always been involved in developing people, developing players, developing staff. It's something I love to do. It's a passion of mine, and this opportunity gives me a chance to do that. I'm working with some fantastic people at boardroom level, and what I do know is that I'm loving this job. I'm loving being part of it, and you know, I want to give Daryl all the support I can. He's a fantastic guy, top manager, and it's giving him that support that he needs when he needs it, without smothering him. And we've got a great relationship. But I think the important thing for me is, if I enjoy being at a place, and I enjoy being somewhere, and I can see the vision and see the future, which is massive at this football club and the potential, then you don't want to go anywhere. Why would I want to go anywhere? Because this journey that we're on is incredibly exciting. And I'm a part of that, so no, it's something I'm really enjoying.
Right, thank you. David Clay would like to ask you, will this new structure on the football side finally sort out scouting and recruitment that has failed time and time again at Port Vale?
It's a great question, and I think part of me coming in, you understand them being in the board meetings, that is the area that the club needed. And that's the area that the club and the board understood that early doors, you know. And I think in any business, in any football club, good football club, the recruitment, the people you bring in, the energy, the passion, the drive that they've got, it rubs off on other people, you know. And recruiting the right people, whether that's staff or players, It's the same process, it's the same scenario, and you know, we're currently looking at that in terms of recruitment. We're going to take someone on in that environment, in that area. We will be looking towards the data, but that's not the key thing. That's not the, we're dealing with humans, football players. To build a dynamic squad, a dynamic staff, you've got to get a lot of things right. The chemistry in the staff. Again, we've got an outstanding manager who's got the experience. There'll be a big part of that process, and there's a lot of good people that will be involved in that process that will get the right ones. Throughout my time as a football manager and being involved in football, recruitment's always been something I've been really good at and strong at. And it's about people. It's about doing your due diligence, making sure that they're the right person, they're the right character, they carry the right values, the physical side of it, that they can do the physical output. And it's something we're looking very closely at. We are concentrating on the first team and the results and performances at the minute, but simultaneously putting the same due diligence and attention into the recruitment side as we move forward. Brilliant,
thank you. Dave Picking asked you as well, can you comment on the difficulties that face coaches when they join a club where there is a playing squad in place that they cannot immediately change and have to work within the short to medium term?
Absolutely, you know, and it's about culture. It's about a difference in culture. It's about what you want to do going forward. You know, we're making changes. Players that haven't been used to the changes that we've made and Darrell's introduced. And as we step forward and keep analysing them processes and making them better and improving, the outcomes will come, the results will come, the process is getting modified. We're bringing people in to help support the squad, to help support the staff, to help support the manager, and the outcome, which is what we all want, which is results. That comes out of good practice, that comes out of good repetition, that comes out of good coaching, getting players fitter, getting them more detailed in the work. And you could interview any player. There's been a massive swing in change, and the players they're adapting to it. They're changing. They want to go along on that journey. They want the education. They want the learning that the manager's now doing. And you know, we speak to them on a daily basis, and you understand the thirst for learning and the thirst for improvement, and that's something that we're doing daily.
Brilliant, thank you. Alex Siverite wrote, Daryl has mentioned the style of play will be fluid and mentioned about getting the right characters at the club. I'd like to know, from the academy through to the first team, what do you see as the short, medium and long-term strategy and identity for Port Vale?
Another great question that is something probably a director of football is absolutely focused on. You know, I've got a real passion for football. I love football to be played the right way, and that comes from recruitment. That comes from a staff that are obsessed with the way that football needs to be played, should be played, obsessed with a squad being fit, an academy team being fit, right through the club. It should look the exact same. It's going to take time. It's going to take detail. It's going to take a lot of hours, a lot of dedication. But when you get the right people on board, and the staff really understanding what that detail is, the product and the team you're witnessing, whether it's an under-16s game, an under-18s game, a first team game, everything should fit together. So when an 18 comes up to train with the manager, which the manager's introduced already, the young players now training with the first team, they know the rhythm of the work, they know the physical demands of the work, they know the passing sequences of the work. And that's absolutely vital, that when you're passing up from the 16s to the 18s to the first team, that we're in a real rhythm of work, and we're not there, and we're not there yet. It's going to take a while, going to take time, but that time will be worth it. The time we invest in it, the money we invest in it, the people we invest in, that's the exciting bit. That's why I'm here. That's why I wanted to take the job on, because that was Carol and the Vision's board to want to see that team and want to see that under-8s team play the same way and represent Port Vale in that way. So when we looked for the manager and when we chose Daryl, we looked at his teams and when the recruitment's there, the excitement in the team, the way they want to attack you, it was something that that we put together.
Brilliant, thank you. Dave, again, Steve Swin has asked, putting aside your long-term plans as director of football, What are you personally doing in the immediate short term to ensure our League Two survival?
Well, I think initially we've made a couple of important decisions on. We brought Darrell Taylor in, who's an S&C coach, a sports science coach, and a fitness coach. And what that's given us is he's played the game. He understands the mentality of players. He understands to get the best out of them from a physical demand. So Darrell's coming to improve us in that area. We've also took on Andy Crosby, who's now assisting Daryl and was in the dugout on against Oldham. You know, and again, just that support, that unconditional support that Carol and the board has always give the manager. We're extending that now to our new manager, and I think it's really important that Daryl feels that support, the players do, and again, it's in line with creating an elite environment, an elite performance environment that'll serve us well, not only this season but on our path to success. And it's really important that we lay this foundation now, so it's strong for the future. Brilliant,
thank you. Pete Cartledge has also asked and said it's an awful situation for Carol and the board at the moment. I personally think they are fantastic people who, like us, all deserve better. What plans do you have in place to deliver this, even at this early stage?
I think it goes back to the last question, but since the owners have got involved in this club and the board's got involved in this club, you're talking about a massive financially. You're talking about something that, with COVID and with no fans coming in, it's a one-off situation. And I've seen the directors work. I've seen Colin Garlick and the directors work so hard on finding solutions for that and making sure that off the pitch that the club's performing and it's in a healthy state when the supporters come back in. And I think that's really important to reiterate, that my job then is to really focus on the football plan and how we keep improving. We're in discussions whether we look at a new training ground to implement, changes to a new training ground off-site. Is it a different environment where the players are training at elite training campus, elite training place, so it's different to coming to the club every day, and then so match days feel special. We've had them initial discussions and they're ongoing, and it's building the infrastructures to support an elite training plan, an elite training model, because we do want to improve players. We do want a situation where players are turning up for work and physically developing, technically developing, tactically developing, and psychologically developing, and getting that winning mindset about everything they do. And these things take time, but we've seen signs, we've seen shoots, the processes are in place, and it's certainly an exciting future. I've come into Port Vale, and I see the work these guys do, till every house, 8, 9 o'clock. We've had board meetings, 8:30, 9 o'clock, Zoom meetings. It just doesn't stop. The work ethic and what these guys put in, and the manager and his staff put in, the work ethic's just insatiable, So being a part of that is a pleasure and a privilege. And, I've not got the baggage that some people have. So I've got real open eyes, exciting eyes, and this project is something that's going to be quite amazing.
All right, thank you. Dave, the next question is, I suppose, one that many fans would like to ask, and we've got Gene Jackson, Fraser Brocklehurst and Kevin Clarke have asked this question. It's one that frustrates a lot of fans, and it's about the injuries. As a club, we appear to have a serious problem with injuries. In particular, we seem to be very susceptible to muscle injuries like hamstring problems. They ask if you are conducting any investigation into our record in this respect, and what do you think can be done to alleviate the problem with the different fitness regime?
Yeah, again, the people you just mentioned there to answer that, ask that question, it shows the thoroughness and the thoughtfulness of people that have, joined in. And it's an absolutely golden question, because we have to know going forward. We have to understand going forward. There's not one reason. I think there's an holistic reason. You look at recruitment and you look at due diligence. That's massive. You look at then a medical and performance. Have we had medicals? Have we had performance medicals on the players when they've come in, and we found out that we haven't. The pre-season, was it as adequate as it should have been? So we're looking into that at the minute, and we're really doing some, you know, exhaustive investigation to that. And then I start looking at the pitches, the training pitches, different. You know, they've gone on the training pitch, they've gone on the AstroTurf pitches, and every one of these there's a potential for muscular injury. And then the training program, are they training, and was they training enough? Was the undertraining? Was the overtraining? There's a real reason that we've had so many injuries. And what our job to do moving forward is to understand that, investigate that, and make sure it doesn't happen again. And we have missed vital components. You know, we've asked for the data when the players was off with COVID, and we can't find that data. You know, I find that incredible that in a business or in a football club, that me as the director of football and the manager can't get that data to understand that data. And it's something that is so important for us moving forward, that we have staff members that care and are passionate about keeping players fit. But it's a program that's got to be joined together. You know, starts with recruitment, starts with looking at our training pitches, then it develops into the pre-season program and making sure that is as robust and thorough as it can be. Then the training program, accelerations, decelerations, training load, sprint distance covered, high intensity. There's a science behind it. And, you know, I've done 50% of the investigation to it, and it's ongoing. And, you know, we'll look at that, making sure that we don't make that mistake next season, because when you actually look at it and you look at the usage of the players that we've had this season and the managers had, and it's for the budget we spend in, it's not been nowhere near good enough. And that's something that does, you know, will be sorted for next season, guaranteed.
So all players that sign will definitely get a medical, and you'll be able to find, and all the data you need will be there for next season.
Guaranteed. And it's not just me who wants this, the owners want this. You know, they spent a lot of money assembling this squad, and we've not had the usage out of this squad. That's a fact. You know, that's a stat that disappoints me. And moving forward, we can't make them same mistakes, and you know, we guarantee we won't.
Right, thank you. Dave, Malcolm Hurst has asked if you could explain the process of appointing Darrell Clarke after you had been appointed director of football. I think we were all surprised. It was the odds were going here, there, and everywhere, and all of a sudden he just appeared, and I was like, wow. So, can you give us the process of what on the appointment of Darrell Clarke?
Absolutely. You know, it was an attractive job. There's no doubt about that. A lot of applicants, and we went through the applicants, and the biggest thing was the character of the person. Had to have passion, had to be aggressive in his pursuit of an elite performance, had to be someone who was driven and motivated, and someone who's developed players and worked with players of all age groups. I think the man management side of it was something that was really important to us as a board, and looking at that skill set. So when you find that, when you're looking for that skill set, that narrows the field. Then you start looking at, you know, someone got success on his CV, which is what, you know, Daryl had. But it was more the passion, the drive that he always, you know, that he always excelled at, and you know, man managing a group of players. So you've got your young players now that you've got to connect with. You've got your middle leadership group you've got to connect with, and then you've got more experienced players, and that's a difficult skill set to find. And you get a lot of head coaches that are good with the younger players, but can't really manage the older players. And I've been a player a long time, was a player a long time, and I'd seen that balance. So we was really fixed in what we was looking for. And, you know, we interviewed, you know, quite a few candidates, but it kept going back to looking at, did they have them characteristics that we absolutely wanted? And, you know, we kept going back to Daryl in our thinking and our thought process.
Brilliant, thank you. thank you for all your honesty, by the way, and all the questions. And finally, for you, David, at this stage, Johnny Hancock has asked, and I think I know what the answer is going to be here, but what your number one priority is?
Supporting our manager, supporting the board with honesty. Everything, you know, that we talk about is ruthlessly honest. Supporting the staff, whatever they need to you know, get the results, and just keep developing the processes, keep improving the processes, keep improving every area of the football plan and the football project. Because out of the processes, out of the methodology, you know, I disagree with what we touched on earlier, that, you know, a goal will come off someone's hand or someone's. You design success. You know, you design it in business, you design it in football, and that's certainly something that we are going to do here, and we want to do. But just giving the manager, his staff, the players, everything they can to be at their best, and you know, the board absolutely go along with that sort of vision. They've supported, you know, they supported the previous manager unconditionally. They've supported myself and Daryl unconditionally. You know, so just want to deliver success. And just to share, you know, Carol's thoughts with the fans. I'm from a football family. That's all we talk about, and it's just not the same. You know, not having the fans into the ground, it's not the same. And we want them back. We want them back passionately. You know, and football is a passionate game, and football is for the supporters. It was built for the supporters, and you know, we've never lost sight of that. And that's something that, you know, we need them back in, and it'll just be a pleasure, you know, delivering a team that can make them supporters proud.
Brilliant, thank you very much. We'll come back to you a little bit later. Daryl, first of all, welcome to Port Vale.
Thanks, Mark. Top man.
And I did share. I can share this with the supporters that are on now. My friend is a Bristol Rovers fan, and he highly recommended you when you were appointed. So, and I will share with you from the Vale supporters that when we are back in, we can assure that we do not eat prawn sandwiches at Port Vale. So we're all looking forward to coming back, having a pint, and watching the Vale. First of all, we're going to start with a couple from Pete Cartledge. He asked Daryl, what are the reasons for the team performing so poorly, particularly in the final third, since yourself and David have been in, because there has been no new manager boost to results?
Yeah, I don't think there's any hiding that fact, Mark. To be honest with you, I'm disappointed not to have got my first win. I think defensively we've been, as a team, pretty sound, apart from the Cheltenham game, but certainly been lacking in the final third. Tuesday night against Oldham, we created numerous chances, and the ball didn't end up in the back of the net. So that's a massive area we need to improve on. I think Worrell coming back into it gives us a lot more in the final third. To be honest, you see the other night the quality he can put into the box. Unfortunately, he's only been available, you know, having getting injured in the Leyton Orient game. So it's nice to have him back. Nice to have David Amu back. That gives us one or two more options in that final third. And obviously the strikers need to be finishing more of the chances. So I think the remit to start off with, to be honest with you, you know, watching the Tranmere game back, where we probably could have conceded 8-9 goals in that game, was to make us secure and defensively pretty solid. We worked the 3-5-2 system, certainly made us more solid but less fluent in attack. And you know, trying to get that balance going a little bit. And 4-4-2 against Leyton Orient, we didn't create many chances, but we hit the bar, scored a goal. So hopefully that final third area will start improving as we build along.
Brilliant, thank you. Daryl, Pete Cartledge has also asked, has the club considered an out-of-contract forward for the final 12 games? He added that in his opinion, we have 6 strikers on the payroll. Our best is injured, Tom Pope, and Rodney is the only positive.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, Mark, isn't it? Because I can't get anybody in that's over 21 because of the squad of where we're at. So you'd then sort of be looking for a non-contract, proven, under 21 goal scorer, which, this is not being disrespectful to the question, but it's not going to be out there, Mark, is he? At this part of where we're at. So, you know, if he was, I'd certainly be interested in it, but it's difficult to get that. So I've been concentrating on working hard with the strikers we've got. Used a few, to be honest with you, a lot of them have had opportunities, so there can be no moans and complaints in that aspect, and they've got to do better. You know, we've got to do better. I've got to do better in that final third to make sure we're finishing off those chances.
Brilliant, thank you. Daryl, Andy Kerr says, as much as I like honesty in the current climate, is it wise for senior players to highlight the shortcomings of the club and, more importantly, the new manager doing similar and worse in interviews when these unfit players with no quality are the ones we're expecting to get us out of this mess?
Yeah, I mean, the first part of the question, obviously, with the players, I'm not a fan of players doing interviews anyway, to be honest with you. And there'll be very little coming out of the club from players' interviews in the last 12 games, because there's a time to shut up and get on with your job. And that's that time. The time's that now. You know, the players are well aware of that. I mentioned that to them before the game the other day, so they can solely focus on doing well in these last 12 games. With me, I'll say it how it is. Sometimes upset people, Mark, you know, but trust me when I say the players are exactly the same. So they know where I am. I'm a straight talker, and that's either on a one-to-one basis or on a group basis. So the players know exactly how I feel. So for me, I'm not going to molly-cool players, to be honest with you. They either want to be on the bus and stay on the bus. That's what sort of players I want. And to be fair, the buy-in from the players has been fantastic. You know, they're working hard for me, they're training hard, competing hard. So I don't see a problem with that. You know, I think sometimes you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you come and do a press interview and you say you played brilliant and you played rubbish, you know, if I want to criticise fitness because I think we should be a fitter squad of players, I'll do that. My eyes see that, and that's what I see. So I'll certainly be working along that way. And if I upset one or two people along the way, it's just the way it is. You know, I'm sure there's a majority of fans like to hear straight, honest talk from managers and not glossing over it. So, you know, that's the way I like to work.
Brilliant, thank you. Maurice Williams would like to ask, how come Port Vale can carry players that have 1 or 2 games on the pitch, then have 3 or 4 weeks on the treatment table? He refers specifically to Mani Oyeleke.
Like I say, we're looking at a lot of things on the injury department. I've had injury reports on all the players. I've got a lot of data through and why this wasn't done, why that wasn't done. I don't want to criticise anybody, but I do it different. And all you can do is change from me and David coming into the club of how we're going to change that process. We're obviously not happy with the injuries that we've had this season. I'm not happy that players are falling down pretty easy on injuries so far. So, but we have to deal with that. We have to adapt to that, and we need to make that process a lot better going forward by looking at the S&C department, looking at the injury department, look about how things are done, you know. And every manager does it different. I have a way of dealing with things and doing things, and obviously David has a massive input into that to make sure that that's running great through the football club, and that should be running great through the football club, whoever the manager is, by the way. You know, the non-negotiables of making sure that you have the right staff in the process, that making sure that the players are as fit as they possibly can be, with a lot of sports science going into that, and making sure, obviously, the due diligence of when you're recruiting players, and that's spot on. So certainly we're open to be better times ahead with that, but there's no short-term fix, Mark, if I'm honest with you. You know, the lads have had 5 months off, didn't they? So they've had 5 months off with a 4-week pre-season plan. So my information is that what did they do in that 5 months? I can't find any data on it. Why not? You know, my lads, you know, my ex-lad, should I say, other football clubs, I have data monitored on stuff like that. That's the way I work. You know, some players have taken an inch, they'll take a mile. And there's your honest pros that all do everything absolutely right. But it's not always about not doing enough. They maybe been do too much in that 5 months. You know, is a role reverse of it. Have they been doing too much road running? You know, I think it goes back a long, long way, to be honest with you. And then would that be part of the problem? Yes, I think it possibly is. Will there be other factors within that? Yes, I'll give you another one. We've had 1 reserve game this season. Got a squad of 30 players. How's that happen? I know we've had problems with COVID, but for me, players need match fitness, surely, even if they're not in the team. So we've got a game arranged next Monday, 22nd, game against Hereford coming here. So I think there's a mixture of things of why, and without obviously pointing the finger anywhere, that players have had so many muscular injuries. Listen, if we sat here with 9-10 contact injuries, you know, Popey's arm, can't do a lot about that. But we're not talking about many compact injuries. We're actually talking about muscles, and there's a lot of things that go into that why we've had so many.
Just quickly, this is one from me, just going on from what you just said. Are you looking at maybe getting a reserve side next season? Is that something that you're looking on your radar?
I mean, the squad's very big at the minute. I think it's something we will be looking at. But it's not hard to arrange games, Mark. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, managers ring me all the time to want to have a game for the players that haven't been involved in the squad and the youngsters. Because, the second-year scholars, you know, it'd be ideal to play a few of the second-year scholars with pros, because to assess youngsters is the best way is to have them playing with pros, surely. So they're playing with better players, and some stand out even more. So certain things we're looking into, and there'll certainly be, if we're not actually in the actual reserve league, we'll be playing a lot more games.
Brilliant. Thank you. Josie Hand has asked, Daryl, having watched a number of games where we've been without many of our better performing players, do you feel that rebuilding the squad in the summer will be a much bigger job than you anticipated when joining the club?
Well, it's always easier said than done, Mark, isn't it? But like I say, what we need to make sure that the process of the players and the lads that we bring in on the recruitment side fit all the criteria of what we're looking for. You know, me and David are massively on the same page with that, of what we look for. And as long as they're ticking a lot of the 4 or 5 criteria that are very important to me and David, you know, and then we obviously want to get the balance of the squad right. You know, I like a squad which is adaptable. So I'll be recruiting a squad that's adaptable in certain scenarios. I like to play 2 men up top end of the pitch, which will be recruited. So there's a lot of things that go into recruitment side of things, but obviously making sure that the recruitment has to, because managers get making breaks on recruitment at the end of the day. The recruitment that a manager brings in will tell you whether the manager is going to be staying in his job long or will be out of the club. So all I asked that I know it hasn't been a fantastic start. We're not winning in 6. I just asked for a fair crack of the whip to the Port Vale fans. I just want a fair crack of the whip. I want to be able to build things here. I've had success at my other clubs when I've been left to be able to do that, and I feel real bright about the future. Albeit, obviously, a 12 massive cup finals to come, Mark. So I know it's certainly not looking too long term at the minute. I mean, you focus on improving these boys, which is important. And you know, I've mentioned this to the players. They have an opportunity to be on the bus. You know, the lads in the building now have that opportunity in these last 12 games to impress, to stay on the bus. So let's hope they're giving their all, and I'll make sure they will be in these 12 games. Yeah,
and I think from the fans' point of view, I think to wear the badge of Port Vale as you walk past Royce Brosen should be a very great privilege. You know, it's a great club with great traditions.
I've always said this, Mark. Okay, don't get me wrong. We've got a couple of local lads in the team that will, you know, die for Port Vale. But let's not beat around the bush. Most footballers, doesn't matter what it says on the badge. Okay, I'm here to make sure that they do. David's here to make sure that they represent this football club in the right way, both on and off the pitch, on the non-negotiables. Okay, so let's not kid ourselves that the lads are going to be dying for Port Vale, because if it doesn't matter what it says on that badge, but it's our jobs to make sure they do, and that's why I've done at all my clubs that I've worked at, and I'll be continuing to do that now. You know, and many after the Cheltenham game when I wasn't a happy man. Obviously, I just reminded them about what it is about this club staying in the league. You know, it's about the people in the club that lose their jobs. I've been there with Bristol Rovers. It's about the tea lady that earns very, very little, the stewards, the support staff at the football club that end up losing their jobs. So they need to feel that. And they, you know, I made sure they felt that after Cheltenham, and we got a good reaction, I thought, of on Tuesday night. But I need that reaction for the last 12 games.
Brilliant, thank you. Daryl, Mick Forrester asks, why do you persist in tactics that do not suit a squad assembled to play 4-3-3 and lacks the quality to adapt to constant changes?
Yeah, to be fair, Mark, I mean, the club, I don't want to knock this, but we'd won 3 games in the last 18 league games before I took over. Okay, obviously that's 3 in 24 now, so certainly I can do something about that now. But let's make no bones, the 4-3-3 system, and in them 3 wins, one of them games was played in a 4-4-2 against Grimsby at home. So I don't think we can kid ourselves that the 4-3-3 was working for a period of time. Okay, so am I ruling out the 4-3-3? No, I'm not. Luke Joyce has been missed for a couple of games. In my mind, he's our only defensive-minded midfielder. We've got 6 number 8s. So the 4-3-3 has definitely not been binned, but certainly I don't want to think for 1 minute that the 4-3-3 has been working, because you know, the results show it hasn't. You know, we've gone to a 3-5-2. I've played a 4-4-2 a couple of times, and no doubt the 4-3-3 will be used from now to the end of the season. I'm just me as a manager. I'm finding out the best way to try and get those wins on board to make sure we secure our status.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think we all want that as well with you. And we wish we were all with you for the 12 games as well, to be honest. And we are with you in spirit. Daryl, Colin Sterling asks, why don't our fullbacks stop crosses from going in the box? They just don't close down their opponents, except Gibbo. Why do they also jog back from attack as if they don't care?
Yeah, well, we looked at it. One of the biggest weak links I thought was the amount of crosses that we're getting into our box over the videos that I studied, the closing down. It is a massive area we need to improve on. I think it's got slightly better over the last few games, if I'm honest with you. I think the defensive structure of the team hasn't been too bad, but it limits us with the defenders we have at the football club of how I actually like to play football. So we're trying to grind out the results to a certain extent. And we've certainly got to stop the ball coming in the box. And we've done quite a few drills on that, focusing on the defensive and stopping crosses coming into boxes. So but it's a fair point, to be honest.
Brilliant, thank you. Daryl, Chris Cartledge asks if you have an idea who your starting 11 is now, seeing as how all the fit players have had their chance to prove they are worth a place.
Yeah, and I think it's been difficult I still think it's difficult to put your fittest, what I think is my best 11 out at the minute, to be honest with you, because we've got one or two people still injured, obviously. But you're getting to know the players. Let's not forget, this ain't an excuse, but I've been in 24 days. You know, within that, we've had 6 games. And you look at the tactical sort of sessions you can do when there's not that recovery days, you're probably looking at 11 days training. You know, I'm not saying the boys have only been in 11 days, by the way, so don't misinterpret that. But, you know, and these things take time. You know, I'll go back to the original thing, give me time. Let's see what the changes that need to be done over a period of time, and we'll see the improvements of that, I'm sure. Brilliant,
thank you. Chris has also asked, how are the injured players recovering, and do you have any idea when they will be available for selection?
Well, you always get your injury report every morning. I get my injury report and when they're likely to be back. It's been a big frustration, to be honest with you, because you'd like to settle it down to a certain extent and have a settled team and a settled formation, but we haven't had that. Like I said, wasn't missing for a few games. Monty coming in and out of the team as well. David and Moo. I've been limited with the wide players. We've only Hurst, really. I know Devante Rodney can do a job out there, but certainly players coming back from injury. The training regime has actually changed on that, so hopefully we'll get one or two back a little bit quicker, and working on making sure that when they do come back, they're fit. You know, Montano, say for the other day, come off at half time, but you know, Montano, we did a rigorous test on him. He did his fitness test. We did it. Montano said he was fit, but then he didn't last the game, so we had it scanned and it was, you know, it was all clear. Minus a little problem, so hopefully he won't be out too long.
Brilliant, thank you. Finally at this stage, Daryl, several supporters, including Patrick Floyd, Carl Zeman and Trevor, have asked what your recruitment policy will be this summer. We have 16 players out of contract. Will it be a large turnover, and what is the criteria for bringing in players?
Well, let me tell you, Carol had a heart attack when I went lucky dip earlier tonight before that. So, so let's get that one right. So, like I said earlier, a bit touching on it earlier, you've got to hit the right criteria of what me and David are looking for, and that David touched on earlier, to make sure that they come into the building and be hungry. Hungry is a massive thing for me. Hunger and desire. That's massive for me. Yeah. Then obviously the balance of the squad. What have we got in their position already? Okay. Obviously we want to improve the side. Are they better than what we've got? And there's loads of medical history, loads of bits and pieces they've got to absolutely be spot on. Now you're very fortunate, I suppose, at League 2 level to hit every one of those categories. But we want to be hitting as many as we possibly can. Because like I say, it's my head on the line, isn't it? It's my head on the line. If the recruitment's not right, you're losing football matches, you're out the door as a manager. And I well understand that matter. So we need to get it spot on.
Right, brilliant. Thank you. We'll be back to you in a bit. Carol, it's back to you now.
Back to me.
Okay, Carol, Andrew Merriman, and Adam Rutter, Andy Yates, Tom Askey, Will Stanway, Andrew Proctor, Peter Stevenson, Dave Thorley and Philip Atkins have all asked, what will happen if we are relegated to non-league? Do you have a contingency plan? Is the board planning for this? Would we still retain the same structure at the club in terms of a director of football and would the playing budget be the same?
Okay, I think it's really important that fans realise that we know where we are in the league. We know what we've got to do over the next 12 weeks, and we are totally 100% focused on doing everything we can in the next 12 games to make sure that, again, it's a moot point and it's a question that, you know, doesn't need answering, because we will still be in the league. And if the worst upon the worst upon the worst were to happen, then we would have a plan then. I mean, but I don't plan for failure, I plan for success, and I tackle failure if it happens to come my way, but I don't plan for it, I plan for success.
Okay, thank you. I'm smiling. Okay, Carol, Asa Postlewaite and Malcolm Hurst have both asked questions about communications from the club. Asa said, my question is around transparency and the apparent change in communication strategy from the club. It seems that this year the club have pulled back from interacting and engaging with the fan base in certain ways, as a change in approach more akin to an iron curtain has been put in place. It seems like there's been a concerted effort to limit and stifle communication from inside the club, which has been in detriment to fan engagement.
I was surprised when I saw that question earlier, because my thoughts would have been it's been the opposite. I think that we've done a heck of a lot of fan engagement. I think one of the things that might have triggered the question is that we got David Flitcroft appointed, and the first thing anybody knew was when we walked him into the Valiant suite, and so there was no sort of speculation or gossip about that before. And I took particular personal pride in getting him, because I'd set myself that target, is that we were going to get him into the room. I even drove him into the Lawn Street concourse and took him upstairs. That's how I was so determined, because I think that, you know, as I said earlier, you've got to be really careful with information that you give out when it's about people, and you have to balance that with a supporters, you know, want to know what's going on. And so there's some things where I think that the club has to be very circumspect and has to keep that information to themselves until it is okay to be open about it. But as far as fan engagement is concerned, I think we've just done so much, and so I was really surprised to see the question, because, you know, we've had a lot of going on in social media. We had the advent calendar, we had the certainly when we launched the strips, and we had the open days and people could come around as soon as we could. We had Sunday lunches, and they only stopped because Boris told us they had to stop. As soon as Boris says they can come back, they'll come back. And so everything we can do with under the restrictions that we can to have fan engagement, we have done. We've got a program. I do a column every home match in the program. The program is really comprehensive. It's got interviews. It's got a lot more than it used to have in the past. And so I was surprised to see the question, to be perfectly honest. And I think it's probably that we've managed to plug some leaks more than that we're not engaging with the fans.
All right, thank you very much. Carol, Chris Wardle has asked if the club is happy with what he describes as the blatantly biased coverage of local football afforded them by BBC Radio Stoke. Examples of this bias, according to Chris, include broadcasting on DAB the majority of the time, as opposed to the easy accessible FM, or using the chair of the Stoke City Supporters Club excessively to summarise, but not including the chair of or a representative of Port Vale at all.
I mean, one of the things for me personally as Carol is I never listened to it, so I can't give a personal view. But the contract with Radio Stoke is up this end of this season, and we will be making sure that, you know, when we're in discussion with them for next season, that points are raised. So I'm happy that people have raised that, because that's given me an awareness. But certainly, you know, as a board, we want to make sure that the coverage that we give is fair. And I know from speaking to the staff at Radio Stoke that they would want the same. So, you know, we have a lot of conversations with them about making, you know, over the coverage for the club and for the matches. And we will be following that up when we're talking to them about the contract.
Yeah, and I know I've had a lot of coverage in the role of the chair of Supporters Club to promote things like this, and
yeah.
And you know, But Chris has got a valid point that he wanted to raise, and I thought I'd ask it, and we've.
Oh yeah, no, I was happy for you to ask it. I mean, it's quite interesting that Matt Sandos messaged me and asked about me going on today. So I was on at 6:10 today to let people know about tonight. So I have to say that from a personal level, I've been very pleased with the engagement that we've had and that Radio Stoke have given us. But we will be having a talk with them about the commentary and about the it's the time afterwards, isn't it? We'll be having a grumble about praise and grumble. How about that?
Okay, all right. Thanks, Carol. A number of supporters, including Dave Lowndes, Carl Zeman, Ian Crowley, Darren Lindsay, Tracy Henschel, Amanda Shepherd, and Eddie Jackson, have also asked about season tickets for next season and how you intend to entice supporters back to Port Vale, to Vale Park. Obviously, 4,000 fans fantastically backed the club this season and haven't been able to come to any games. Will they be offered any sort of incentive or discount? And when do you expect season tickets for next season to go on sale?
Well, I'm sure that Dave will back me up when I say that every board meeting we have, we talk about our season ticket holders. We talk about what we can do to bring them as much value as we can for this season. We're incredibly grateful to every single one of them for backing us and for buying season tickets, and very, very few have asked for a refund from it. So I mean, let me just give my thanks for that, because that has enabled us to do a lot of the things that we've done this season, because whilst there hasn't been football, there's been a lot of work going on in the ground. I think we've spent £500,000 on Vale Park. A lot of it you won't see because it was making it compliant. It was filling in sort of cracks and things that, it's an old stadium. It takes a lot of work. And so we've done that. We've done a lot of, we're about to spend a lot of money on the training pitch. We spent a lot of money, on different areas. So we couldn't have done all of that if it hadn't have been for the backing and the support we got from the season ticket holders, and we understand that and we appreciate that. And so we're looking at, as soon as Uncle Boris lets us have people back again, that what can we do as far as open days and for season ticket holders are concerned, what can we do for next season in the way to thank them. I know that there's some ideas that are going through that were discussed in this morning's board meeting, of putting a package together, a gratitude package from us to thank the season ticket holders.
All right, thank you. Carol, Lee Timmis asks, where do you see Port Vale in 2 seasons' time?
Well, hello, Lee. I mean, one of the things that you need to know with me is that I don't put times on things. I've watched a lot of football clubs get in a lot of problems by putting a time on it. Right, we're going to be there and we've got to be there by that date. So I have 2 plans for the club. One is the progression and the what we build, and like say training pitches and training grounds and all the rest of it, and we can date and we can time that, because we know what we're doing. When it comes to football, I don't believe that you can time it, but we will certainly be higher than we are now, and it will be great that if we're in the next league, that's where we're looking to go. Whether you've said two years, I don't know whether it'll be 2 years, but it's in 2 years we will be in a position where we're all proud of Port Vale, and I think that's the important thing for me, and we'll be as high as we can be, given the work that we're going to do.
Brilliant, thank you. Dave, Johnny Hancock and Adam Smallwood have both asked about whether or not there are any plans to relay the pitch at Vale Park.
Not at the minute. We're like I said, the training pitch at the minute is our focus. Again, looking at that injury report. So the training ground is going to take up one hell of an investment. Certainly in the medium term. It might be part of a medium-term plan, but certainly all our focus right at this minute is into the first team and making sure we get that right, and making sure we get recruitment right for next season. So it's not something that's in the short-term planning.
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Ray Shaughnessy says, Other clubs at our level with similar or even lower budgets than ours appear able to attract players that we miss out on, reportedly due to wage constraints. Are we adventurous and innovative enough in how we use our playing budget, or are we too concerned with a structured approach to wages that is always justifiable in terms of fairness?
Listen, I can't answer the questions what's gone in the past, but what I do know is that the playing budget at Port Vale is a very, very, very competitive budget in this level. So at the end of the day, I think the managers has been given the support. I believe that I'll be given that support, and I've got to make sure that I use the best of that support to get the best squad, the players available. So, like I say, I don't know what the process was beforehand, but I know where we're going with the process. Me and David are going with that. So hopefully that improves. Otherwise, I'll be out the door anyway, Mark, to be honest with you, if it doesn't, won't it? So,
Mark,
so
what I'd like to add to that, please, is that, you know, we're creating an infrastructure in place, i.e. the training ground, improvements to every single functionality of the experience for a player. There's a lot of thought process going into that at the minute, that when you're attracting players, what is the attraction to Port Vale? And there's going to be many as we move forward. We've got a manager who cares as much as I've seen in the game for a long time. Our owner cares about people and about families. We're trying to look at what we can do for everybody who wants to come to and be involved in this. So yeah, there's a massive infrastructure going into place to support that player who comes in, from a tactical point of view. The physical demands, they'll get looked after, they'll improve when they're here. The diet, the nutrition, the medical side, it's going to be one hell of an attractive proposition to come and play for Port Vale.
Brilliant, thank you.
Well, sorry, Mark, what I'd like to add to that as well, I don't want to feel like I'm passing the boat and whatnot. Listen, I'm responsible for the last 6 games, and I'll be responsible for the last 12 games. That makes sense. These are my players now. It's up to me to get the best out of them. I seem to, I like, you know, I'm a different to what the previous manager were and previous managers were, because I've got a different way of working. But certainly, it stops with me. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say this has been bad, this has been bad, this has been bad, this has been bad, because it hasn't been the case. There's a lot of things that I think, and me and David think, we can improve on. But I don't want people to feel that I'm going to be passing the buck, because that's not the way I roll. I should we call it the balls on the table. So if that's upsetting your viewers, but that's the way we go, you know. And I'm making sure I get get enough points in these last 12 games to make sure we can really start kicking this club forward.
Brilliant, brilliant. Dave, John Greatbatch says Carol, Kevin and Colin are to be applauded for having carried the club through the last 12 months. I'm immensely proud of the club's renewed community links. Is this now the time to have a total root and branch reset of the playing side of the club? We cannot sustain a promotion push with the amount of injuries the club is constantly carrying. It goes without saying that there will be a player cleared out at the end of the season, but will the coaching physio departments also be looked at as well?
I think root and branch is you know, a good starting point, you know, and we've only been in the club, like the manager says, you know, 20 odd days, and it's felt every single bit of detail that this board can uncover and look at, they do. So when you look at the foundation to the academy, to the first team, to the staff, everything's being looked at. Everything will be improved. That will be a guarantee. Everything will be improved. Processes are being improved, you know, as we speak, and that will energize everyone at the club and make sure that our supporters, they'll see that, they'll feel it, and they'll understand it, because when they come in the club next season, there will be a different feel, there'll be a different emotion, and we're looking at every single aspect of the club to improve.
Can I just say, Mark, before we move on, I mean, I think it's just picking up on what Dave's just said there. I'm very keen on unifying and integrating Port Vale. We've got the first team, we've got the academy, and we've got the foundation, and there's quite a bit of repetition, you know, so whether it be the medical department. So I had a meeting this morning with Peter Grimes, our doctor, and you know how we integrate everything. He was asking for some equipment to make our medical department better, which we're going to do. So that, whether it's safeguarding, at the moment we've had 3 safeguarding policies for the 3 organisations. We want one that covers everybody, and Darrell's been fantastic in bringing the well, both of them have actually, bringing the academy and the first team together. So bringing the scholars and training them with the first team, having that all is, you know, it's one club. And I want a one club approach in every single area. And, you know, and in football, I think it's really important. I've always wanted that, but I think this is, you know, the way that we're going about it is, you know, I'm really pleased. And it is root and branch, you know, so whether it's, you know, looking at the physios so that, you know, we've got cover there all the way across, everything, we're doing that. So there is a big transformation of the club as a whole going on at the same time as the transformations just beginning on the pitch.
Brilliant, thank you. Next question's again for you, Carol.
Oh.
Andrew Steele asks, would you consider an away day membership for next season, or a system of keeping track of regular away travellers? Salford, Macclesfield, Walsall, we struggle to get tickets for, even though we are season ticket holders who regularly travel away with the Vale. Also, he says there was a bit of a debacle for the Man City tickets when regulars were hunting for tickets, but others got one, having never been to a game in their lives.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. When we came in May 2019, so I mean it's not 2 years yet. When we arrived, we didn't have a supporter database. I mean, you know, we had some spreadsheets, we had this, you know, back of bag packet type thing, but we didn't have anything which we could look at and say, you know, sort of a loyalty database. So we had nothing that would show us that this particular supporter was a season ticket holder. It had been to, they'd been to so many away matches. They might have, you know, spent so much in the shop or what have you. We had nothing, and so it made the allocation of tickets, you know, inserting fairness into that, it made it almost impossible. And you know, so that was something. I mean, I remember coming to the Salford queue, Kevin and I did, and we were speaking to somebody because the queue was right up to Hamel Road. I did say to everybody, when we get a queue like this for Carlisle away on a wet Tuesday night, then I'm going to be really, really impressed. We haven't got that yet. But, you know, in talking to the fans at that time, I remember saying, you know, we are going to do something about this because we need to be able to allocate, you know, give the option to away tickets to season ticket holders a lot easier. We need to be able to know that this supporter has been to this number of matches. So there's a lot of time and investment gone into this in this season in a new ticketing system, so that's all in there. Sadly, we can't sell tickets through it, but there you go. But it also covers the shop. It covers, so that's enabled us. That's the reason that we've been able to improve our shop coverage, that we now have a really good online shop, and we've sold so many. I think last season we sold 3,400 replica shirts. That this year it's over 10,000. So that's another huge thank you to the Vale fans, because that again has helped enormously. There's a plan going on at the moment that they're taking some of the storage area at Synectics, because Synectics used to be a supermarket. At the back of Synectics we've got a huge storage area, so that's going to be the storage area for the shop, and so we can do our online work there because there's so much there, and then that will take a lot of the pressure off the shop. So there's a lot going on. I know Josh and the team over in the shop have been fantastic, and so we're building on that as well.
Brilliant, thank you.
There's a lot going on, and I know sometimes people have said, you know, oh come on Carol, you're not a food bank, you know, you've got your eye off the ball. I don't do all of that. I mean, and that's really important, and that's the point that I would like to make tonight, is that I have an amazing team around me. I have an amazing group of directors, a lot of whom I've worked with for years over at Synectics, and I brought them with me because I knew them, and I knew that they would be able to work in the way that I work and would be able to bring in, they'd had the vision that of what Port Vale needed. Having got them, I don't do their jobs. I let them do their jobs. And so with the community, we've got the Hub Foundation, we've got Port Vale Foundation. They do that. I'm not cooking 1,000 meals a day and delivering them. I can promise you, I am focusing on the football side and working with these two guys and the rest.
Brilliant, thank you. Carol Margaret Taylor's asked, once fans are allowed back in, will it still be possible to view the matches live on iPlayer? We are in the UK, but many miles away, and time, ill health, and the cost of coming over to the Potteries from East Anglia on a regular basis means it will be well nigh impossible for us to attend in person.
Margaret, I am so sorry. It's because this is not down to us. If it was down to me, yes, you would be able to, but it isn't. It's the FIFA rules. If Colin was here, he could tell you exactly what subsection D it was and all the rest of it. But I don't know. But there is a rule which says that we're not allowed to stream games live at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. It's a window, and you're not allowed to do it. So we can still do cup matches. We can still do matches in the week, so the Tuesday matches, but the 3 o'clock window is sort of sacred, and you can watch it on catch up. You can watch the highlights if you're a member of iFollow, but sadly nothing we can do about it, I'm afraid. But I hope you can come to Vale Park, Margaret, because we'd love to see you. Brilliant.
First of all, we're going to thank you for Daryl, David and Carol for being our panelists this evening and answering all the questions. We really do appreciate your time. I want to thank Carol and the club for all that they've done for the people that we've sadly lost over the last 12 months. I know that whenever we've had a call and we've rang the club, you've really moved boundaries. What you did for Charlie Holland was absolutely incredible. And I know that day when we haven't been here for 12 months and it was such a sad day, but to see all those people turn out for Charlie's funeral was absolutely mind-blowing, really. It was unbelievable, and it showed just what it means to the fans, and we're all one family. We've lost a lot of players over the last 12 months that used to play for the club, and it's really sad, but I think you've done really well as a club, and you've really looked after some people going through an horrific time. So thank you for that. Thank you, and also when you did it for Mike Lake in Old Sage as well, and it's just been incredible what we've done for as a club for people that have passed away. As somebody who works in the day in the charity sector, working with people who are vulnerable, Port Vale is the shining light across North Staffordshire for some of the amazing work that's gone on. It's been a great team effort, and I'm hoping that can turn around onto the pitch for the next 12 games, and we can really get what we deserve for the north of Stoke-on-Trent, because for me, I know we've spoken about all your vision, but my vision as the supporter club chair is that we have got a terrific fan base, and when we are back in there, we will be that 12th man. We will be Super Vale away. It will be amazing, and I can't wait for the day that we come back in. And I know I've spoken to Colin and the club, and we will honour everybody we've lost since we've been in on the day we come back, which will be emotional, but it will be much needed as well.
Can I just interrupt you for a minute? Charlie Holland's funeral day is a day that I will remember for the rest of my life. I think it was, I'm even sort of choking up a little bit even thinking about it now. It was everything that Port Vale is about. It was so wonderful to see so many people and to have a quick chat with people, and I realised just how much I'd missed that. I realised how much I missed Charlie, and when I went round the club and said, look, we're doing this for Charlie Holland, I phoned the players and said, look, will you walk in front of the hearse with me? And they all said yes. Everybody that I asked, everybody wanted to be part of that, and really miss him, and was so pleased that we could do that. Mike Lakin, I missed terribly. I loved him, and he called me a young lady the day that we announced that we were buying the club. To which Kevin just says he hasn't been to Specsavers, has he? Which I thought was very nice from your husband. So thank you, Kevin. But Mike was wonderful, and Payne Profit did a fantastic portrait of Mike, which is at the club. And because there isn't anybody here at the moment, it will go into a public area, but there isn't any public here. So I've been very selfish, and I've got it in my office. And so Mike Lakin looks at me when I'm working, and I have a chat to Mike's picture and realise just how special he was. We've got one coming up now, Gareth Jones, who was the head teacher down at the Mere, there's a Sandon High, who I knew Gareth from the work that I do with the Department of Education. He was a fantastic man. He was a fantastic advocate for Stoke-on-Trent and for Port Vale, a President season ticket holder. We will be doing what we can for him and his family, as we do every single Vale fan that we lose. And it breaks my heart whenever we lose a Vale fan. And I just cannot wait to have you back. It is, this stadium it just needs people in it. It cries out for you all, and I can't wait. Yeah, but that was it. I just wanted to say about Mike and Charlie and Gareth and all the fans and all the ones that we've lost. But we will do something to commemorate all of them when we get everybody back, because we do care. Yeah.
So that's fantastic, and the fans are brilliant here.
Yeah,
and
they are.
Darrell and David will
Best of the 92. Best of the 92 they are.
I mean, and to be fair, we started the Port Vale Stand Together Fund to get the Lawn Street finished for the Robbie concert for inside. We've got £11,530, and some people still donate little bits each month into that. So that's really great. Congratulations on your OBE.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And just to finish off our evening, I'm going to start with you, Carol. I've got a question to ask all three of you from me, and I would like your message to the supporters tonight as we head into our final 12 games of the season. Carol, it's you first.
As I said earlier, we plan for success. We're planning for success for these next 12 games, and Port Vale is just an amazing club, and we will be doing every single thing that we can to bring the success. I think we've done some fantastic appointments. I'm so delighted with the two men either side of me tonight, and I think that our club will be in safe hands with them, and I look forward to seeing you all back next season. And finally, just one last thing. Sky Sports were in here the other day, and they did the interviews with us all, and they were saying they could not believe that the EFL are coming out at the moment to say that they've delivered 1 million meals over the last year during COVID. Of that million, of the 72 clubs, Port Vale delivered 300,000 of that, which is absolutely gobsmacking. It's amazing. And I know people say we're a football club, we're not a food bank. The truth is we're a lot of things, and we're really important to people for lots of reasons. And we've got a lot of success off the pitch, and we're going to be having a lot of success on the pitch. And I look forward to seeing everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you, Carol. David, what's your message to the fans as we go into our final 12 games of the season?
I think I've not been here that long. What I would say to the fans watching, if I was a fan watching and I'd listened to our owners speak so passionately about our supporters, and not many owners could, reel off the names and the closeness to how Carol's got to our supporters, I'd feel very honoured. I'd feel very humble. I'd feel very lucky. I wake up every day feeling lucky. I've found myself working for some great people, and working with inspirational people. Daryl being one of them. And when you're around them people and you see what they can do, it inspires you every day. So I'm lucky. I know that I've not been here that long, but I feel the force of what Port Vale can achieve, and we will achieve that through people. And when the supporters come in, they'll feel that too, and they'll see that. But you know, you're a football club that has got a fantastic owner and board to take us forward, and I just feel lucky to be part of that process.
Brilliant, thank you. Daryl, what's your message to the supporters for the final 12 games?
Give me a chance. I'll be honest with you. To be honest with you, not just the 12 games. Give me the. I said it early on. All a man can ever ask for is a fair crack of the whip. That's all I want. Give me the opportunity to turn this football club around. I've got great faith in my ability. I'm loving the passion. The fans that come to the training ground. I love to, you know, there's a lot of negativity about the minute, understandably, with our league position, but keep believing. Let's keep it nice and positive for these last 12 games. Let's get off the players' backs on social media and all that, because it's not going to help. Trust me, with 12 games to go, although they probably deserve plenty of stick and myself, but let's be really, really positive. Let's do what we need to do in these 12 games, and then let's start the real rebuilding process of what we want the club to look like. Brilliant.
Thank you so much for tonight, and good luck for the final 12 games, and let's hope we can get 3 points on Saturday.
Cheers, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Take care, buddy.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.